Yeah, and what a good timing to do this too. Like with Easter coming up, like perfect subject for our first episode coming up to Easter. And yeah, I think that it's important to look at that we all have responsibility, that our sin needed to be paid for, and just Jesus's role and willingness to go to the cross.
And it says something about our personal relationship, right? How can you claim to have a personal relationship if it wasn't personal? So that is where it comes in, how personal the cross was and the death of Jesus. And we've all heard preachers preaching umpteen times that you put Jesus on the cross, not to blame, but we will get into that, because there are situations where you are made to feel like you personally killed Jesus, and in a way, I guess we did have something to do with it. But isn't that true of every nation, tribe, and tongue?
Yeah, and I even just think about like just growing up in the church and giving my life to the Lord, and how eventually you start taking communion. Well, what are you kind of often encouraged to do with communion? You're reflecting on your sin. You're reflecting on what Jesus did for you and the price that he paid. And there's been some great opportunities to do that, whether that was in my life in the church, whether that was with times of taking communion, or whether that was at retreats where we watched like clips from the Passion of the Christ, just graphic stuff, you know.
You know what? I didn't become a Christian until I was 20 years old, so I didn't have that experience growing up. But I sure appreciated it as an adult, seeing those things. You know, we take for granted. I think the church kids growing up in it, they take for granted, at least when I went to Bible college, that's what I found out, that the church kids wish they had a testimony like mine, you know, and I was like, I wish I had a testimony like yours, growing up in the church and not having to struggle with the sin that I struggled with, that, you know, a dog goes back to its vomit, right? So that's a sin you're going to go back to. But I thought when you were talking, something interesting came up, do you believe, for instance, you, the viewer, have you ever been told maybe that if you were the only person on earth, Jesus would have died for you? Is that true? Do you think it's true? Do you think if you were the only person on earth, having that Adam messed up, and you were the person that Christ was going to make it right for, he was going to do that for you, would you buy that? Is that true? I guess what I'm asking is that good theology?
I think that he died for everyone across human history, like the dead, the people that have already went on to be with like in the grave, and the people who still live today, who were born in this generation. I think that we're all broken people, and that Jesus' atonement is enough for all salvation, although it won't be effective for all people.
It won't be effective for all, but by choice, right?
Right.
Jesus said in John 3, he lays it out. He says, "For all have sinned," the salvation of God is for all. That he died for all. That he loved the world, the whole world, and that anyone of the world can have salvation. Right? John 3:16. But a couple verses later, he says what? He says, but men love darkness, right? And that's why he says this is condemnation, that men love darkness. And one of the things that mankind does is they refuse to come to the light. That is the light that came into the world. Because they would have to let go of their lives.
Yeah, if you confess your sins, he is faithful and just to forgive your sins, right? That's all about coming into the light.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. So my question to you is it good theology to say if there is one person? Now remember, there's theology out there that dictates that election is what saves you. Now if there is one person, a person better be hoping that they were of the elect, right? Whereas the proper theology, I think, is that Christ died for all, as in we all have the free choice. We all have enough light, for God lighteth every man that cometh into the world. There's enough light in us, enough gas in our gas tank of faith to get us to the cross, to get us to Golgotha, every man. But men love the darkness, so they neglect the light that is in them, according to Romans 1, so that they can appeal to the darkness, because that's where all the partying and the fun is, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is good theology, I think. So the question is, did Jesus die just for you? I would fall on the idea that he did.
Yes.
That he did die just for you, that he had your name on the cross and he beckoned it. I think I remember a song just now. It says, he beckoned me from the cross.
Mm-hmm.
And isn't that it? He beckoned me. He bellowed my name when he said, it is finished. My name, your name out there. He bellowed our names in that one simple statement.
Yeah.
And,
I want to add something to that, though, because I think that it's also important to look at the corporate aspect of the cross.
Right.
Like when we talk about who did Jesus die for, I think it's also important to look at the scriptures and say he died for the church. He died for the new Israel, the new covenant community. And that was important to him, to have a community of people in heaven.
He died for the church or for the world?
The church
came out of it. The church came out of it, right?
Yeah, the scriptures also say that he died for the church, though.
Okay.
So there is going to, it is for the purpose of a new covenant community. That community.
That is true. That is true, and his covenants are eternal.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. What I'm saying is, though, that God so loved the world,
mm-hmm.
right? It doesn't say that he so loved the church. Of course he loves the church.
Yeah.
That's his body. That's literally his bride.
His bride, right.
And of course, the church came out of his love for the world,
mm-hmm.
right? And those who choose
mm-hmm.
to serve Christ and
yeah.
follow him are the church. That
yeah.
is the church. Whether it be
the church came out of covenants with people.
Right. So is an individual part of the church?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Christ died for that individual,
mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
But corporately...
So it's a both and.
Right. It is a both and.
It's a both
exactly. I think that's a good way of following on that. So we can establish this. Christ did die for all, correct?
Mm-hmm.
He died for all. He died for all corporately. He died for all individually, correct?
Mm-hmm.